Speaking of astronauts, I saw that it's set in space, right, on a spaceship. And so a lot of the scenes involve like sort of zero gravity or like floating
Yes.
around. So do they have you on like a wire for that, or how do you guys film
Yes.
those? Because I remember
Yeah.
on the shows that I've done, the flying scenes are really complicated.
Yes, flying scenes are very, very complicated. There's a lot of work that goes into them. But yes, we did use wires, which was really exciting because that was like my first time being on wires. And it was just like so much fun to get to explore that. We also did a lot of one-legged standing on apple boxes. And also we went on this big contraption called a parallelogram, where it was
Oh,
like your
but isn't that
like
the word for
basically
like a geometry
yeah, that's
thing?
a, yeah,
I
it's
was like,
a it's yeah, that is it's also a shape. But
yes.
it's like this big have you seen those like kind of caged like things that like construction workers are on? They
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
stand on
Yeah, I know
it.
what you
Yeah.
mean. Yeah.
It's kind of like that except your shins up to your knees are strapped down, and then you kind of have the ability to turn your body and push yourself up and down. But that was easier for when there was like places where we couldn't put the wires and couldn't like
Oh,
have the
okay.
wires there. But for a majority of the time we did a lot of wire work and it was
So
super
you're
fun.
like strapped in kind of, right? When you're
Yes,
doing that?
yes. So only your like your calves up to your knees are strapped in. So your feet
Oh,
to your calves. So
I
only like this
think I
much of your
know.
leg.
You can tell kind of when they're using that on the space shows because
Yes.
they it's for like when they're tinkering with stuff and they're floating around sort of like on their knees but in the air and they're tinkering with stuff, right?
Yeah, well, actually that might be wires because there's
Oh.
2-point wires that go on your hips and then there's 4 points that go on your back when you're like laying like this. But the parallelogram, if you've seen the astronauts, there are certain times where one of us will float up into the cockpit facing the
Oh.
Matilda screen, but in between that little empty space. And that was one of the times we used the parallelogram. And you can't really tell, but you can kind of tell. Maybe because I'm an actor and I
Right.
kind of look for
Right.
those
Yeah.
things, I can kind of tell.
A
But
lot of times
yeah,
the audience can't really see what
yeah.
like specific technique you're using.
Yes, that is one of the fun things about being an actor. You kind of get to
Exactly.
pick out the behind the scenes stuff.
I know, like now
Um,
every time I watch like action movies and things or like Marvel or whatever, I'm like, okay, that's definitely green screen and you can
yeah,
sort of tell when what trick they're using.
yes.